In a quiet corner of ancient Greece, there lived a man whose music could calm the wildest heart. When he played, even the rivers seemed to pause and listen, their currents slowing as though reluctant to miss a single note. The birds gathered simply to hear him. Even the mountains, far in the distance, seemed to lean in closer, as if the whole world had agreed to be quiet in his presence. Each morning, he walked the same quiet paths, his lyre never far from reach. He knew every hill, every stream, every tree by its sound, the way old friends know one another without needing to speak. One golden afternoon, he wandered into a quiet grove he had never noticed before. And there, gathering wildflowers into a woven basket, was Eurydice. Their eyes met, and for a moment, even the music seemed to hold its breath. He played a song only for her that day. She had never heard anything so gentle, soft, unhurried, the kind of melody that doesn't ask to be remembered because it simply is, the way sunlight is, the way warmth is. From that day forward, the two were rarely seen apart. They spoke of small things, the shape of clouds, the names of flowers, and found quiet joy in all of it, the way people do when they've found someone who makes even ordinary afternoons feel like something worth remembering. Seasons passed gently, as love often lets them. Blossoms gave way to full green leaves, and full green leaves gave way to golden afternoons. And through it all, nothing between them changed at all. And with every season, what they felt for one another only grew quieter and deeper and more certain. The way a river grows wider and calmer the closer it comes to the sea. And on a warm summer morning, they were married. Friends and family gathered from every nearby village, filling the meadow with soft laughter and quiet conversation. Even the meadow itself seemed to bloom brighter that day, as though the earth wanted to celebrate alongside them. Orpheus played as she walked toward him, and for once, in all his years of steady, practiced music, his hands trembled. They exchanged simple vows beneath the open sky, and petals drifted down around them like a blessing offered by the meadow itself. That evening, a feast was laid beneath the open sky. Laughter carried gently across the hillside, and Orpheus played late into the night, songs of gratitude, songs of love, songs that needed no words at all to say what they meant. Eurydice danced barefoot in the grass, unhurried and free, the way people dance when nothing in the world feels urgent anymore. When the guests had finally gone, the two sat together beneath the stars, and Orpheus played one final, quiet song. Just for the two of them, soft enough that only she could truly hear it. For a while, their happiness knew no bounds. They walked hand in hand through moonlit meadows, fireflies drifting lazily beside them, and spoke softly of the years ahead, imagining all they might yet build together. Quiet mornings, small joys, an entire lifetime stretched out gently before them like an open road. But even the gentlest stories carry a shadow, waiting quietly at the edge of the meadow. Unseen, unhurried, patient the way shadows always are, resting in the tall grass, waiting for its moment to arrive. One quiet morning, not long after, Eurydice rose early to gather flowers for the day ahead. She wandered further than usual, drawn by a patch of blossoms she hadn't noticed before, humming softly to herself the way she often did. She did not see what rested quietly in the grass below, still, patient, waiting the way shadows always wait. In an instant so gentle it barely disturbed the flowers, everything changed. The meadow grew quiet, the way meadows do when something has been lost, and for a long while, nothing moved at all. Orpheus came looking for her as the afternoon light began to fade. He found only her basket, resting undisturbed among the wildflowers, exactly where she had set it down. And for the first time in his life, his music fell silent. He sat with his grief as the stars slowly emerged, one by one, remembering her laughter, her dancing, the quiet way she used to listen to every note he played, as though each one had been written only for her. The night passed slowly, and still he did not move. But as morning came, something in him began to stir. Love, it is said, does not easily accept an ending. Slowly, Orpheus rose, lifting his lyre once more, a quiet resolve settling into his shoulders. He walked until the familiar meadows gave way to unfamiliar, ancient stone, following paths he had never needed to follow before. At last, half hidden among old rocks and drifting mist, he found what he was searching for. A hidden opening into the world below, glowing faintly, patiently, as though it had been waiting for him all along. He descended, carrying only his lyre and his love. The passage wound deeper than he expected, but he did not turn back. Slowly, the darkness gave way to a soft, unearthly glow, and the underworld welcomed him not with fear, but with quiet curiosity. Vast crystal caverns, an underground river moving without hurry through ancient stone, crystal gardens flourishing in halls that had never once seen the sun. He walked on, deeper still, past corridors that had stood since the beginning of memory, until at last he reached the great hall where the rulers of that realm kept their quiet watch. There he began to play. Even the ancient stones of that realm seemed to soften at the sound. The king of the underworld and his queen beside him listened in silence, moved by something they had rarely witnessed even in all their long years ruling that quiet kingdom. He played of meadows, of wildflowers, of a wedding beneath an open summer sky. Every memory he had, offered freely, without holding anything back. He played until even his own sorrow felt lighter, shared at last with someone who seemed, somehow, to understand exactly what he had lost. Moved by his devotion, the queen extended a hand in quiet blessing. Eurydice would be allowed to follow him back to the world above, but only under one condition. He must walk the entire way without once looking behind him, trusting, without proof, that she was truly there. Slowly, Orpheus turned toward the long passage leading upward, and somewhere in the mist behind him, softly, uncertainly, Eurydice began to follow. Orpheus began the long climb back toward the light. Behind him, softly, he heard the faintest sound of footsteps, light, uncertain, barely more than a whisper against the stone. He counted his own steps, steady and slow, to keep from turning too soon. The passage seemed endless, crystal light flickering gently along the walls, each step carrying him a little closer to the world above. He wanted so badly to turn and see her face, but he remembered his promise and continued forward. The light of the surface world grew nearer with every step. So close now, he could almost believe the hardest part was over. He thought of the meadow waiting for them both, and allowed himself, just for a moment, to hope. And then, for just a moment, The footsteps behind him grew quiet. He strained to listen, but heard only his own heartbeat, loud and uncertain in the stillness. Doubt, quiet and human, crept gently into his heart. He was only one step from the light, close enough to feel the warmth of it on his shoulders. He told himself she was still there. She had to be. But certainty, once shaken, is difficult to hold on to, the way a held breath becomes harder to keep the longer it's held. And so, gently, without cruelty, without panic, simply out of love and fear and the very human need to be sure, he turned to look. For one brief, beautiful moment, he saw her. Eurydice, just a few steps behind, her hand reaching gently toward him. Her expression held no anger, only the same gentle love he had always known, the love that had carried them both this far. And just as gently, she began to fade back into the mist. He reached for her, but she was already becoming part of the quiet dark once more. There was no cry, no chase, no anger in that moment. Only the soft, unhurried dissolving of something precious. The way morning mist lifts from a valley when the sun finally rises. For a long while he simply stood there, in the space where she had been. Then, slowly, he turned once more toward the light and continued on alone. He returned to the world above, carrying only his lyre and his memory of her. The meadow welcomed him exactly as he had left it, wildflowers swaying gently in the breeze as though no time at all had passed. He sat where they had once sat together and slowly lifted his lyre. From that day, his music carried something new, not sorrow alone, but love that had learned, somehow, to endure anyway. He played for the wildflowers, for the rivers, for anyone who would listen, the way he always had, though something in the music had softened, deepened, grown quietly wiser with everything it had carried. And it is said that even now, on quiet evenings, his song can still be heard drifting gently through the hills. Soft, unhurried, endless. The way love often becomes once it has nowhere left to go, but everywhere at once. A single wildflower still grows in that meadow, the very one Eurydice once reached for on the morning everything changed. And if you listen closely, on the quietest of nights, you might still hear the faintest trace of a song carried on the wind. A gentle reminder that love, once given fully, is never entirely lost. Good night.